Hello everyone, welcome to your online privacy podcast. Today we're going to be talking about something that applies to pretty much everyone in our modern age, data privacy online.
I'll start off with a question. How do you feel about companies needing more and more of your data as time has gone on?
I obviously don't feel comfortable with all that kind of stuff. A lot of people aren't as tech savvy, so it feels like these companies are taking advantage of people by getting more and more information.
What kind of information?
I guess things like face scans, like how Roblox requires it for multiplayer, or Discord requiring a license.
If I remember correctly, we conducted an interview similar to the question I had just asked previously, and the interviewees didn't feel comfortable with the way information has been taken over time in ways like this. Specifically, 80% of our interview takers felt against this collection of information.
Yeah, I think most people are on the same page, that our data shouldn't be taken so much and so casually.
What do you think of this?
I feel like I shouldn't need to give out anything of mine to use basic services.
Yeah, I agree.
Like an example that comes to mind is having to give your email out just to read a simple article.
For our listeners, I'm sure you can think of a time where you had to enter in some information that wasn't very necessary to an online platform.
Companies like Google and Amazon are extremely large and are known to take your data. It sucks how exposed you have to feel on the internet nowadays.
According to our survey, most people don't feel that companies should be able to freely exchange information.
And that brings us to our next point, online surveillance. As companies view and take our data, the more they know about who we are and what we do, even if we don't want them to know all this information. According to a survey that we sent out, a majority of the people use at least 5 online platforms and have little to no knowledge about who actually has their data.
Yeah, most of the time you don't even notice when your information's being tracked. Think about your location. A lot of people have Google Maps or maybe even Life 360, but these companies sell your data without your permission for extra profit.
Not just your location, but other things are being tracked as well. Things like what you're watching or what you search can be tracked, so then companies can start selling you stuff about what you're searching or watching.
It's like searching up a water bottle and getting ads for water bottles for a while after.
Along with that, companies can also listen into what you have to say. Things like Alexa and Google Home, Siri, and Bixby all have the capabilities of keeping track of your audio data. According to The Verge, Amazon has admitted that it doesn't always delete the stored data it obtains through voice interactions with the company's Alexa and Echo devices, even after a user chooses to wipe their audio files completely from their account.
This gets way worse when access to data goes to people who aren't authorized.
What do you mean?
Sometimes these companies get hacked, and that data can be exposed. This happens more often than you'd think. That's what's called a data breach.
Yeah, and according to the Privacy Rights Clearhouse, there have been over 80,000 reported data breaches since 2005, saying that people are generally online very often, which is a sentiment shared by our survey results, with most people saying they were online, quote-unquote, very often. This is a very scary statistic to hear about. And those are only the breaches we've publicly heard of.
It's really hard to understand how much of your data is exposed. It isn't always corporations either.
Although corporations have a lot to do with your privacy, or lack of thereof, the government also has a large part to do with your data and how it's used.
How do you think so?
Well, they are the ones who have final say in who can access your data and what they can do with it. They can create and enforce laws that regulate and control how companies collect, share, and store personal information. For example, they can require governments to hand over user data for investigation or national security purposes.
Additionally, they can also purchase your data from third-party companies known as data brokers.
Wait, so they can just buy people's data?
Yes, data brokers collect large amounts of user information like locations, browsing history, watch history, and digital habits. Governments have been known to purchase it from third parties for surveillance and investigations.
In fact, according to Lawfare Media, an article about governments purchasing user data from third-party government agencies have increasingly purchased location and other data for surveillance purposes.
I hadn't heard about these data brokers before, or at least I don't remember hearing about this.
Well, according to security.org, 40% of American adults didn't know about this practice either, so it makes sense if you didn't know that as well.
Considering the fact that 30% of our survey takers felt their data is taken very often, quote unquote, in general, it's very surprising to hear how little action there is on the government's involvement in online spaces, whether for better or for worse.
Isn't that exploitation?
Yeah. In fact, corporations are known to exploit user data.
To elaborate on that point, exploitation happens when users aren't fully aware of how their data is being collected or used, yet companies still profit from it by selling or sharing information without clear consent while the user gains nothing from it. For example, companies will use predatory practices such as making it difficult for users to opt out of data collection. In fact, companies such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram or anything owned by Meta require you to go through a multitude of steps just to opt out for any data collection. Additionally, with the recent AI boom, companies like Instagram will collect your data automatically and will require you to go and fill out a form after multiple clicks, which also requires some more personal information.
I hope you've enjoyed our podcast. Our main goal is to help you, the listener, understand just how important your online security really is.
Yeah, don't just take out our word for it. Do your own research too. Find ways to protect yourself and be safe online.
According to our survey, 40 of the people who answered have already been using VPNs. This is an example of taking steps for your own privacy. A similar example could be using longer or more unique passwords.
Even if technological things don't interest you, it's important to at least know the basics of technology.
There are a lot of ways that you can stay safe online, and you should always be trying to figure these ways out.
Again, we hope you've enjoyed this listening experience. Make sure to stay safe and stay secure.